Welcome back. The legendary Tom Osborne joined the Omaha Sports Insider's radio guys this week to talk about teammates mentoring.
Omaha Sports Insider continues here on AM 590 ESPN Omaha. As we told you before, very happy to welcome in our next guest in studio with us, and that is legendary coach Dr. Tom Osborne, joining us talking some teammates mentoring and also, of course, a little college football as well. But first of all, Coach, really appreciate you being with us, and always an exciting time to talk about teammates mentoring. Never a bad time to talk about it, but I know we got a lot of exciting things coming up here.
Well, we sure do, and of course it's we're not far from the start of the school year, and so we're always trying to recruit more mentors because every year we graduate. This year, I think it was 500-600 teammates, kids graduated from high school, so we're in many cases having to replace mentors there. And we always have about a third more kids who want to mentor than we have mentors. So currently we're mentoring about 8,000 kids. So that means that we would like to have another 2,000 mentors, 2,500, something like that. And so there is something called a coach's challenge that Bill Snyder and I started many years ago when he was at K-State and I was at Nebraska. And both of us were interested in mentoring, and so we had a challenge between Nebraska and Kansas to who could recruit the most mentors. That has now spread to the whole Big 12 conference and also the Big 10 conference and many other conferences. So it's become somewhat of a national movement, and so we really would like to make sure that Nebraska does well in that coach's challenge and that we recruit a lot of mentors here in the next few months.
You know, I feel like we ask you this every time we talk to you about it, but you know, when you first started this teammates mentoring program to where it is today, are you surprised with how far you've come and how big this is able to have been, been built?
Well, it is surprising because we simply started by making an appeal to our football team, and we said, how many of you guys would be willing to serve as a mentor to a 7th or 8th grade boy in Lincoln Public Schools? And 22 hands went up, and among those was Will Shields and some other fairly prominent players that we had. And we had no idea how it would work out. And but of those 22, 21 graduated on time from high school, and 18 went on to college. One of them, Sean Applegate, walked on the football team and started for us, earned a scholarship. One guy went to Oxford University in England, and so a lot of those kids did really very well. And so we were really pleased with the results and expanded the program. And so here we are today where we are with the 8,000 matches in about 135 communities. And in Greater Omaha, we're mentoring roughly 1,500, 1,600 kids. But we could certainly expand that very easily to as many as 3,000.
Talking to Coach Tom Osborne. And Coach, in this day and age of college football where it always seems like in the headlines nationally there's all these negative headlines about players maybe mistreating people and stuff like that, it's great to have these kind of stories knowing that you coached a lot of players that to this very day are still heavily active in mentoring, whether it's with teammates or any other mentoring outlet. Just knowing that and knowing that they take that beyond their time at Nebraska, that also has to be kind of a special feeling.
Well, we felt that sometimes athletics can become sort of a self-absorbed process where it's all about me. You see that in your daily work. You see how much of that mentality exists. And so we started a life skills program at the University of Nebraska, which was essentially dedicated to community service, visiting hospitals, mentoring, talking to kids at school, and those kinds of things. And we feel that we probably haven't done our job as coaches if our players leave thinking that the only key to success is making a lot of money and getting a lot of personal attention. But rather, we think it's important that they understand that serving others and making a contribution to society is critical as well. So Nebraska has a very well-developed life skills program. Every team participates, and I think it's a big part of it. And I think Bruce Rasmussen at Creighton and other athletic teams around the area have done the same. So we have a lot of teammates mentors in various athletic departments around the state.
Teammates.org, of course, the website to go for all the information on how you can become a mentor and sign up today. Coach, with some of the off-the-field stuff that Nick was just talking about, Nick Saban, obviously a very prominent coach, dealing with some conversations yesterday with Paul Feinbaum, amongst others, about when is appropriate to suspend a player, when is it appropriate to discipline a player, based on were they arrested, convicted, was it just an off-the-field incident? And as a coach, I'm sure that's a very, very difficult line to walk. How do you kind of go about processing that in your mind?
Well, it is difficult because so often the general public equates being charged with being guilty, and the two aren't the same. And yet there's a time frame. The season starts at a certain time, and so if somebody has charges hanging over their head, what do? Even if you know from what you know that probably the young person is innocent in some cases. In most cases, they aren't. And so we developed a discipline code at Nebraska. Players and coaches were together on this. And it was a point system, and it was part of our unity council. And so if a person missed a class, he lost a point. If he was late to practice, that was 2 points. If he missed practice, that was 3 points. Misdemeanor, 4 points. Felony, of course, was 5 points. And anytime you got to 5 points, you were suspended. And so, like, for instance, in the Lawrence Phillips case, Lawrence was charged with 2 misdemeanors. People thought that he did something that was felonious. It wasn't. And didn't hit the young woman, although it was publicized that he did. And so we suspended him for 6 games in accordance with that point system. Players understood it. We understood it. And so you have to have some guideline. You can't just kind of shoot from the hip and decide, well, this time I'm going to do this and that time I'm going to do that. And so when a player got to 3 points, he had to appear before the Unity Council and got raked over the coals pretty good. 4 points, he came in to see me and I notified the parents. 5 points, he was automatically suspended. And of course, depending on severity and different circumstances, could be permanent or could be for a period of time. So that's what we did, and we felt that those guidelines certainly helped us because everybody knew going in what was expected. And so anyway, every coach has to handle it their own way, but I think it is important to also involve school authorities in serious cases. It shouldn't be simply dependent solely upon the coach's judgment. I think other people have to be involved too.
Coach, always appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of the summer. We'll look forward to talking to you soon.